logic. But in case your requirement says that I need to run multiple containers, then we will go ahead and see that. Now, I went ahead and I was looking into the Docker, into the Kubernetes documentation, where I found that how can containers communicate when they are running in the same pod. So if I'm running multiple containers in the same pod, how am I going to make them run? And so this is what I found. And then there is a documentation from Amazon, which talks about how, there is a documentation from Kubernetes, which talks about that how the containers can talk to each other if they are running within the same pod. So we go ahead and talk about the containers. Now, if you see carefully, the containers can, or in one single pod, you can have multiple containers. Likewise, in this example, if you see, there is a web container or web server container. Let me say HTTPD or Node.js or anything like that. This is a front-end one. And the front end, whatever data is getting collected here is getting saved into a log saving sidecar container. So let me say I have a website like Amazon. Okay. And then I want to capture who all came to my website, what they clicked upon. So I want the log details, like whatever has happened inside the container. So I can attach one file system to this, and I can say this is container number 2. So log saving sidecar container. So this is container 1, container 2. Now this kind of setup is known as sidecar container. So it says sidecar container extends and enhances the main container. They take existing container and make them better. Okay, so it is an additional container that is not mandatory that both should run at the same time. But if container 1 is running, then container 2 will enhance the functionality of that container. And here in my application, I can see that web server is running. It can run independently, but in case it crashes, I want to know why it crashed, how it crashed. So I'm using this particular log saving sidecar container, and this mechanism is known as sidecar container. So what I'll do is I'll just start putting it in a document so that I can share it with you once my thing is done. So I will come here and say pattern of composite containers. So this is the heading, pattern of composite containers. And this is the link from where I am talking about. When I start my work, the first type of container which I see here is sidecar container. I'm attaching the link so that you can go ahead and read through this in case you want to know more details. Okay. Then here, if you see, there is a common file system between both of them, which are putting both of them together. Then there is something called ambassador container, more of a theoretical thing. Here, if you see, I'm using something, a proxy ambassador. So whenever a request is coming in or going out, I make sure that it is not directly getting interaction. It is using some proxy ambassador, and via that, it is going to communicate. Here, yes, both are dependent on each other. If the proxy server crashes, definitely I will not be able to communicate with the main container. And if the main container crashes, then obviously this proxy server will not be able to do anything. Then the third type is adapter containers. So if you're not very much interested in the theoretical stuff, you can skip, but in case you're preparing for CCAD or CKAD, so certification exams, then it is of use for you. The third one is my adapter container. So here, if you see, this is my main container, and I have put a monitoring container here, and I'm saying it's a monitoring adapter. And then there is a centralized monitoring system. So down the line, when I will be teaching you monitoring, I will teach you that there are many monitoring tools which install an agent on the pod. So this is kind of an agent, you can think. And this application, whatever data is getting generated, first it will be collected by my agent, and then the agent will go and provide it to my central monitoring system. So these are the three types of multi-container environment which I have. Out of this, this is the one which we are mostly using, sidecar container. where I want that these two should talk to each other. So I will have a main container, and whatever log or whatever data is getting generated, it is getting stored in the file system, something like your Docker volumes only, where all the data is getting stored in an external file system. But here, this file system is within this pod only. Within the pod only, I will get everything. Now, if you want to implement this thing, this is the documentation which talks about how to implement this communication. Okay. And here it says communicate containers within the same pod. So communication between the containers in the same pod. And there is a shared volume or a shared storage, which is between both of them. This is the shared volume or the shared storage, which is between both of them. So what we will do is we will go ahead and create an environment for ourselves. So it says you need a environment, play with Kubernetes or interactive shells where kubectl is involved, and you can start your work. So this is my kubectl environment. Here I'm going to start everything. So I'll come here and say minikube start. And once I start minikube, I am ready to get my work done. Now, by the time it is getting started, I will come to this guy, and here it says that you are creating a pod, and in that pod, 2 containers are running. So let me just take this guy, put it here. Okay, now let me just come down here and arrange it first. Okay. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Let me change the language as YAML. Okay. So now let me start from here. So it says API version is V1. So this is okay for me. It can be V1, or in fact, it has to be V1. The kind is pod, which is again okay for me. In the metadata, I'm giving the name as 2 containers. Okay. You give any name of your choice. You give multi-container or anything like that. Let me put it as multi-container. Multi-container. So this is the name I have given. Now, restart policy is never, means in case there is a failure, don't restart it. If you put it as always, means whenever there is a failure, automatically it will try to restart itself. This concept is known as auto healing. So whenever this fails, it will try to revive itself. But I don't want anything like that. So as of now, I'm saying it is never. Then I'm creating a volume. Now this volume is very similar to the Docker volume, which you have learned already. Here it's a shared volume, or it's a volume which can be accessed by all the containers which are inside this particular pod. So I'm creating a volumes. Here we don't say it's a volume, we say it's a persistent volume, or we say PV. Okay, so later down the line, I'll teach you what is PV and PVC. But as of now, just go by the concept that when I say volume, it is exactly the same thing, or the purpose is exactly the same what it happens in Docker. The only thing is the name here is known as persistent volume, PV. You give a name to this. So he's saying shared data. You give a name, anything, shared data 1, 2, 3, or my data. Any name is okay, but you give a name, and it says empty dir, means it's an empty directory. So when you create it, it is empty. And the second thing is it is always associated with your container. In case your containers are dead, automatically this storage will also be deallocated. So the storage is this guy. The name is this guy. It is empty dir, means it will be empty. When it is created, it will be associated with the containers, the storage of the containers. When I say storage of the containers, the data associated with the container. And the moment this container terminates, suppose this container terminates, automatically this storage will also get terminated. Okay. Now I am running 2 containers here in the container section. You can see I am running 2 containers. One is Nginx. I have not mentioned anything, so it will pick the latest version. Similarly, I am running 1 container with the name as Debian. Debian is an operating system, and Nginx is a proxy server. So I'm running 2 containers. For the first one, I have given the name as Nginx container. The second one, I have given the name as Nginx. So the second one is Debian container. In Nginx container, I'm using Nginx latest version of the image, and I'm saying volume mount means whatever data is going to come here, use this storage, shared data. So use this storage, shared data, and go ahead and put everything here at this location. Now this location is inside the container. So inside the container, store everything here, and at the same time, replicate it here, shared data. Okay, so internal or inside the container, this is where the data will be stored. Outside the container at my local machine or at my Kubernetes environment, here the data will be stored. Similarly, I want that this methodology should be followed. This methodology should be followed. So these two should have a common file system so that they can talk to each other. Okay, so this is what I am aiming to do here. And that's the reason I will come here and I will create another container with the name as Debian container, or give any image which you want. Here, the volume mount will be same. Wherever you mount this storage, at the same place you mount this storage also. So these two storages will be common. And for Nginx, the data will be stored here. And for this guy, Debian, the data will be stored in a file called pod data. Okay, this is inside the container. Okay, pod data. Then here they will execute a command. I'll tell you why this command is coming, bin sh. Okay, so when you want to go inside a operating system, if you want to go inside an operating system and do something, this is the command bin sh. If you remember, while teaching your Unix thing, I told that hash bin bash is the first command. Like that, when you deal with operating system, bin sh is the command. I'll tell you in depth about this. Give me some time for this. Okay. And then I'm passing some argument. So -c stands for container. So inside the container, you pass this command. So in the Debian container, okay, in the Debian container, where is the data getting stored? In the pod data. And in the pod data, I want to create a file called index.html. And this is what I want to pass it there. I will explain this once I have run my image. Okay, but for time being, just digest these two commands. I will come back and explain this. So as of now, let me do one thing. Let me take this entire thing and create a file out of this. So nano multi container container dot YAML. Now is this guy here. So this is my container which I have created, or which I am trying to create. Now these things are not required, so these are unnecessary things. Let me just delete all these things from the top. Okay, so this is how my container looks like once I have created everything. Control X, Y, enter. Okay, so I have my container ready. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to say kubectl apply -f, and I'm going to apply this guy. What is the name of this guy? multi-container.yaml. So let's run it. It says pod multi-container multi-container is created. So if I come here and say kubectl, I can say get all if you want to see everything. If you only want to see the pod, then you will come here and say kubectl get pod. So it will show only the pod to you. So as of now, if I come here and I say kubectl get pod, I can see that we were expecting 2 containers, but only one container is up and running, and the other one automatically got terminated. Okay. Now, once it is terminated, I will also want to know why it got terminated and what is the outcome of that, or how can I see the output which is related to that. Okay. So let me just come here. Wait a second. kubectl get pods, same scenario. There's nothing which has changed. Now, the next step for this is second. So the next step for this will be Docker PS minus A. So you forget about the other things. Concentrate on these two guys. This is Debian Nginx. So container. I'm only interested in these two images. Okay. So let me take it out from here. Second. Debian Nginx. These are the two containers. Copy. Now, if you come here, these are the containers which we are talking about, right? I created two containers. This is container one, the Nginx container, which is running Nginx, and the second is Debian container, which is running Debian. So I can see here two containers are running with two unique container IDs. The image is Debian latest for one of them, and the second is Nginx latest. Now, if you see here, it talks about some command bin sh -c echo something something. What is this command? So this is the command. This is the command which I have passed. Bin sh, okay, and in bin sh, this is the -c stand for container, and this is the command which I have passed, and this is what it is showing. Means this particular line, whatever you have passed as an argument, will get executed inside the container. Okay, and here it is Docker entry point, or this is what it is trying to run. So this is the default entry point. Here you are running this particular command. I'll show you what is this command doing. Okay, then it was created about a minute ago. But if you see here, this Debian guy has exited in the sense stopped. It is not working as of now. Some 1 minute ago, it has been exited. Okay, and this is up and running from 1 minute. So I can see that these are the two containers which are running, and I can see that, okay, fine, these two are running. So at a container level, I went and checked both of these containers, but I was more interested at pod level. So I will come here back to this guy, clear all these things, come here and say kubectl get all. You get to see your pod, copy this pod, come here and say kubectl describe, and whatever your pod name is. Okay, so see here what all has happened here. So it started container with the name as Debian container, created it. This Debian image was pulled. So we started from here, successfully assigned default multi-container to the minikube. So started in the minikube. Nginx latest was pulled, successfully created, and then Debian was pulled and Debian was successfully created. But there is a small change here. If I go at the top, this is what I'm saying. kubectl describe the pod details for me. So this is the name of the pod running in default namespace. So what is namespace will come later. Then priority is 0 means highest priority. It is running in my minikube node. This is the date and time when it is running. Status as of now is running, and this is the IP address. Okay. Now, this is important. There are two containers running here. One is Nginx container and the other one is Debian container. If you see here, this Nginx container has an ID, Nginx latest is running, and the current state is it is running, means it is up and running. And this is the mount point, or this is the place where the data is stored. User share Nginx HTML and share data where read write permission is there. From there, it is linked, but linked to whom? Linked to Debian container. But the problem with this Debian container is when you are running, the state is as of now terminated. Reason is completed. It means this command which you wanted to run, command argument is already done. Okay, so it is telling that this activity is done, and hence I am going ahead and terminating this. Now you say, no, I did not understand this piece. You tell me more about this. What was done and what happened and all. Okay, so to understand this, what has happened inside, I'll again go to this documentation. And here it says, in the configuration file, you can see pod has volume named as shared data. Yes, the first container listed in the configuration file is Nginx, and it is mounted at this location. And the second container is mounted at this location. Also, the second container has this command. When you want to create a pod, you can create a pod by running this command. So we have already done. Now, if you want to know about the information of the pod, so there are two ways in which you can do it. So this is point one, or this is the first way. So you can come here. So it says kubectl get pods, and whatever is the detail of this. So my pod name is multi-container, right? Multi-container. Whatever is there, you show me the output in YAML format. So it says output minus output is equal to YAML. So if you put it like this, okay, the output which you will get will be something like this. API version pod. So it will tell you what is it has done. So I've already seen that by using describe command. So what I will do is I will go to the shell of the Nginx container, or I will go inside the Nginx container. Now, how to go from the pod to the container? So yesterday there was a question that I want to go inside the pod and I want to see what has happened. How can I do that? So this is what I am trying to do now. Paste. So if you remember, the command earlier when we were running Docker was Docker, then exec, then -it, and the container ID we used to use. But here we will give the pod name. For me, the pod name is multi-containers. Okay. -c is for container. Which container you want to go? If you want to go in your Debian container, you give Debian-container. If you want to go inside Nginx container, mention Nginx-container, and then bin bash. If you remember, this command is exactly similar, almost similar to your earlier command. That's why I was saying there are many similarities between Docker and Kubernetes. So Docker exec -it, okay, then the container ID, and then you have to give bin bash. Here also the command is almost same, but there are small differences. So what are those small differences? So here I am running this command, but the first keyword is kubectl exec -it, okay, name of your pod, multi-containers is the name of the pod. In that pod, which container you want? So -c is for container, Nginx-container is the name of my container, and then bin bash. So if you see here, root @multi-container means you have entered inside this multi-container now. Okay, I'll give all these commands to you so that you will be able to run all these commands whenever you are practicing all these things. Let me copy this. Copy this. So if you want to go inside your container, so you decide which container, inside which container you want to go. So I am inside my Nginx container. How can you check that? ls-l. See here, all Nginx related things are there. If you remember your file which you started, you told you will go here, user share Nginx HTML, and here you will store your data, right? So let me try to go here. CD and this path, user share Nginx HTML. See here, pwd, you're here, user share Nginx HTML. Here I should have a file with the name as index.html. And what should be inside this file? Hello from Debian container. How is it coming? This is what I had written. Hello from Debian container. So basically what has happened now, I will explain this. So these two containers are using the same shared volume. So this is my Nginx container and this is my Debian container, right? Both are using the same shared volume. Now, because they are using the same shared volume, when I go inside the Nginx container by running this command and I go to this path, okay, I go to this path, I'm able to see index.html. Now the question will be, how is index.html coming here? Because when I was writing my script, I told that this is the path which I'm going to use, or this is the mount path I'm going to use. And any data which will come here in index.html should be linked to this place. So because there is a common storage, both the data is getting shared. So index.html, where is the data coming from? So this is the data which you have in your container. Now, I'll explain further. Yes, I'll do again. Wait, hold on. It is a bit confusing. That's why I did not want to take it yesterday, but then we don't have any choice. Now, I am inside the container. Okay. Now, I will try to. Okay. So let me halt here. Now, I'll explain everything once again, and then again, I will come back and ask if you have understood. If not, then I will ask again the questions and I will explain everything to you. So what we are trying to do, listen to me carefully, what I'm trying to do. So yesterday there was a question which says that I want multiple containers to run in one single pod. I told that ideally it should be one pod, one container. If you have one pod, one container, the complexity is less and the management is easy. But still, if a customer wants, no, I need 2 containers, or I need 3 containers, or I need 5 containers. So now you will be able to understand that the moment you increase the number of containers, let me say 5 containers, obviously the complexity will increase. But Kubernetes support this feature also. To support this feature, it has 3 ways of doing it. The first way is sidecar container. In sidecar container, there will be a main container which will be doing the activity, and there will be a log sidecar container or a container which will be majorly keeping the logs. But there are 2 important things here. This second container, okay, this log saving container will always be dependent on this, okay, and they will share a common file storage. Okay, in my example here, I was exactly trying to do the same thing. Okay, I told that I need 2 containers to run in my environment. And for that, I will go ahead and write a YAML file where I know API version and kind and metadata. Here, rather than naming it as 2 container, I made it as multi-container. I said restart policy as never, means in case the containers fail, don't start it again. Okay. Then I created a shared volume, a persistent volume where the data can be shared between 2 containers, because at the end of the day, I want to implement this. There should be a common file system where the 2 can talk to each other. That's why I'm creating this shared data. Empty dir means when you start your work, this volume will be empty, and the moment you delete your container, the storage will also get deallocated. Now, why is it so? It is as per the architecture of Kubernetes. It is not me who is deciding all these things. These are pre-configured and these are coming from the official website of Kubernetes. Means if you want to use Kubernetes, you have to go by the way Kubernetes is asking you to use it. So I don't have any say here. You want, you don't want, this is the way we have to implement it. If I come to containers, here I see 2 containers are there. One is Nginx and the other one is Debian. So these are 2 different containers, but I want to connect both of them via a common storage. That's why in volume mount at both the places, I'm using this shared data, which I have already created here at the top. Okay. And then I'm saying that whatever data you get from Nginx container, you put it here. Okay. And whatever data you get from mount path, whatever data you get from Debian, you put it here. Okay. And then I run the container. When I run the container, what happens is this command bin.sh, okay, bin.sh is the command which is connecting both the containers together. Okay. So this is my end motto, to connect both of them together. So this command is connecting both of them together, bin.sh. And here to one of the containers, I am passing this particular stuff. Okay. This is hello from Debian container. And when this will run, it will go here, pod data. It will go here, pod data. But then it is followed by index.html. And this index.html will also be shared at this location. Okay. So when I run this container, so this is what I'm trying to do here. I go ahead, exit, clear. So if I come to my history, I did a minikube start. I created this multi-container YAML, whatever I have, and I did a apply. So when I apply, I got 2 containers which are running. I went into describe and I saw that 2 containers are running. One of them was an Nginx container and the another one was Debian. The Debian had exited, means it has stopped running, but the Nginx container was running. Then I wanted to go inside the Nginx container. So that command was kubectl exec -it, similar to your Docker command, and the name of the pod followed by -c, which stands for container, and which container would you like to go. So bin bash is the path, or this is the common point which is connecting both the containers, and it is allowing me to go inside. So if I run this command, it takes me inside the multi-container pod, and inside the multi-container pod, it takes me inside the container. And here, if I say ls-l, I'll see all the things related to your Nginx. And here, while working, I told that this is the common location where everything will be stored. So let me just copy this guy, cd, go to this common location. Okay. And now if you come here and say ls-l, you will see your index.html. And if you do cat index.html, you will see the same thing which you have printed here. If you don't want to see like this, then you can use this command curl. Curl is the so whenever you have a browser, you type it and see it. But as of now, I have not exposed it to outside world. So I want to see it internally. So I can try like this, curl localhost. Escape key. So it says if you want to run, you can put it like this, curl localhost. Means inside the container only, run it and show it to me, localhost. And you get hello from Debian container. Why? Because these 2 containers are connected to each other via the common storage. Okay. Now I'll open it for questions. Anybody has any questions, please go ahead. But stick to the questions which are related to this topic. Okay.
And sir, there is one container which is terminated. Why it is like that?
Because there is the activity of that container is done. So wait, I'll show you that. If you see here, kubectl get pods. If you go ahead and say copy kubectl ctl describe this, whatever it is. Okay, sorry, my bad. Describe pod and then give the name of the pod. Now see here. See here. The reason is completed, means the activity what it has to perform is already done. Okay. And the exit code is 0. So that's why it has terminated.
Where we have defined that our activity?
This is your activity. This is your command. And this is your activity.
That is for this, no sir, Nginx, right? This is.
This is for Nginx, not only for Nginx, this is for connecting both of them. Okay.
The
And
message which you have given, it is for only for one container, right? Not for both.
But it is a common thing, no? It's a common thing. Wait a second. This is a common thing. Both of them are using the same storage. So the data is present here. So even if you're doing anything here, it is stored here. So you are accessing this storage only.
Okay.
Sir, if we want to terminated container, so it is possible.
See, if you terminate this container, okay, then there is no point in running this at all because this is already down. Okay. So no, as of now, anything you're doing, the logs are not getting captured. Okay. But in case you want to terminate it, then there's no benefit of running this, right? What will be the
No,
benefit?
if we want to both container not any container terminated, so we want to continue up and
You tell me
running all
which container
container.
you want to terminate.
No, sir,
No.
he's telling that like both containers you want to run in that pod.
Up condition.
Yes,
Right.
up condition.
Okay. In up condition, this container, this what you say, this database container will not run. You can run some front-end application only, like Node.js. If you have, there's a front-end application. That kind of application you can run. If you put something which is running in the background, it will anyhow terminate. And in your real-time scenario, if you want that two containers should always run, then if you go back to my example, the Docker Compose example which I gave, that kind of a setup you have to do. Or here also, I will be teaching you something called secret and config map. There I will show you that I will run a container, two different containers or two different pods, and I will link them together. See, the ideal practice still says one pod, one container. Okay. But in case you forcefully say that, no, I want to run two containers, then this is the way how to do it.
And sir, one got died. No, if I go back to the which is died, can I see that same commit?
But you will not be able to go inside, right? The container, if it is dead. Let me
No,
show
like we have done like yesterday we have done the.
you start the container. Suppose, wait a second.
Since both are sharing the single data source.
Wait, 1 second. Docker ps -a. This is the Debian container which has exited. Okay. Let me copy this guy. Forcefully, I will try to start it. So I will do something like this. I will say Docker start this guy, paste. Okay. So now again, if I come here and say Docker ps -a, it will again get terminated. See here. Exited 6 seconds ago, means it was started, but again it got terminated. So this container cannot run independently.
Then what is the use of this container, sir? Why we
Right.
should do this?
Yes, see, I will show you one more example now where I will show you that both the containers are up and running. Okay. But the main usage of this container is this shared file system. Whatever data is here or here is put into the shared file system and you can access it. That's the main usage of this two container environment or two container pod.
No. When you go for the one single container, also the data will come to file system, right?
But that is a simple, straightforward setup, right? See, again, one pod, one container. That setup is always recommended. But
Yeah.
here you are forcefully saying that, no, I want two containers to run. So Kubernetes is coming up with
So
a
if the
solution.
other container is not working, there is no point of going with the second container in the single pod.
It is working. It is not that it is not working. It is working. Everything happened. Then only this data is coming, right? See, if you see this guy, okay, from where is this index.html coming? It is coming from this place, pod data. Where is this pod data? This is pod data. If you talk about pod data, where is it shared? So here it is shared. So you cannot say that it is not working at all. Yes, it got exited. Okay. But at the end of the day, it is running. means it has done its task.
Again, if there is some other task to be done by the Debian, then how it is exited, right? So
Yeah, so you have to again rerun your entire thing.
Like we need to provide this in the YAML file only, right? And again, we need to apply it.
See,
Like here, argument we given one command only, so it was run and it was exited. Otherwise, if we give any like 5 seconds command, every 5 seconds, you need to check whether the website is.
I'll write something like this, which is very similar to this.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. I'll write one more script, which is very
And
similar.
because just a minute, their restart policy is there right before in the YAML file. Just go up just little bit here in the restart policy at the starting. Why did we not give a hyphen there actually?
No, this is a keyword. No.
And before that we need to give right. After
No.
specifications.
No. See, volume subpart is this, so we are giving hyphen. But this is an independent thing, so we don't have to give any hyphen.
Okay. No, it is not the subpart of the specifications restart policy.
But see, specification, you see container is also the subpart, but are you giving hyphen? Volume is also subpart. Are you giving hyphen? So specification is okay. At this level, it is okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, one question was asked here that why the container is not running. So I'll show you that the container will run. Okay. I will add a command, a sleep command, and you will see that the container will run for some time. So let me just show you the same thing, but in a little bit different manner. So let me come here. I'm going to create one more container. Okay. API version is V1. That's okay. Kind is pod. Metadata, let me say, I will say alive container. Give any name of your choice. Okay. Alive container means I want to keep both the containers alive. In the that's okay. Then in the specification section, if you don't want to give this, you can remove this. It is again optional. Okay. This I will take it out for time being. If I need, I'll bring it back. Containers, the first container, I will run it as Nginx latest container. I will remove this guy, volume mount. I will go with something called ports. Okay. Colon. Then come with container port. So you know that Nginx runs at port number 80. So container C is small letter, P is capital letter. Then I will go with another container and I will say this is a sidecar container. Sidecar container. Okay. And here I'm not going to run Debian. Let me run another image. Curl. So curl means it is a command, a Unix command, which will run your web applications internally. Generally, when you have a web application, you run it externally on a browser. But if you have to internally run it, then you do something like this. Curl image, and you say curl. If you don't know about this,
The call is also image, application only, no, sir?
application only, I'll show you that. So if I come here and say Docker Hub, go to Docker Hub, run, see this. Curl images, curl. So this is one of the images. Curl, official curl image generated by Docker team, curl, and you can read what it is doing. These many versions are there. It's a command line tool and library transferring data within URL with URL. See, if you have a browser, you put it in the browser and you run it. But within the container, if you want to run, you will be using this guy. So this is curl images / curl. So curl images. The name and all should be correct. Curl images - curl. So this is okay. Then volume mount, I don't need. This command I will need because I'm trying to connect both of them. And in arguments in the container, I will pass something like this. Hello from sidecar container, hello from sidecar container. And then you can say sleep for 300 seconds. Sleep for 300 means for 300 seconds it will be alive. Okay, I'm removing that volume wala thing. I'm not having any volume wala thing. I'm again doing the same thing. I'm trying to run a pod. Kind is pod, metadata, name is alive container. Here I have two containers. One is your Nginx and the other one is curl. And these two will be connected by this bin sh. And I'm passing an argument container, C is for container, hello from sidecar container. Okay, and it will sleep for 300 seconds or it will be alive for 300 seconds. Okay. Let me try to run this. Come here, clear all these things. See, if you want, there are options available. If you don't go by the traditional way, you say that, see, tradition says one pod, one container, but you say, no, I want to deviate. There is an option available, but obviously will be little bit tricky. Alive container dot YAML.
Mostly in real time, we'll use
one pod, one container. Most of the time you'll be using that only. One pod, one container. Every time if you see the best practices, no, they will talk about that only.
like how the state storage will happen then.
That there is a something called stateful set and all that and all will come, and there is a lot of things. I can't cover everything together. So alive container. So I'm just renaming it properly. So alive container is there. Now what you will do, you will bring it up. How? You will come here and say kubectl kubectl apply -f alive container.yaml. Come here, kubectl get all. So you can see here container is getting created. And here you can see 2 by 2 is running, means both are running. But the moment you wait for 5 minutes, you will see after 5 minutes, the other one is dead. Or this guy, kubectl describe and paste this guy. So here you can see this is the command 300 seconds. So started at 1422. So 1922, it will automatically sleep. This is the image number 2. And if you see here, started and it is ready. And the current state will be, state is running. It is running. Similarly, this also is in running state. If you go down here, you will see that started with alive container. Nginx was pulled, Nginx container running. Similarly, this image was pulled and this image is running. Now, if I clear all these things, okay, and I go and say kubectl get all, I will see my both the containers running. Now, there can be a requirement that I want to go inside this Nginx container. Okay, so how will I go? The command will be kubectl exec -it. Okay, then name of the pod. See, if you're not on mute, can you go on mute? So name of my pod. So just let me go inside and see what is the name of my pod. So name is alive-container. So take this name, paste it here. In alive-container pod, I want to go inside which container? So you say I want to go inside this container, Nginx-container. And then you say ---- bin bash. So you are inside your alive container. Now here, if you want to see which port is getting used, because Nginx is using port number 80. So I want to see which port is getting used. So I'll say netstat minus ln. Show me which port is. So it says netstat command is not found. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me go inside the other container and try to run this. Exit. So it has come out. I'll go inside the other container and try to run it. Okay, sidecar container.
It is stat or start, sir?
Stat, STAT, net stat. Command is correct.
I think 5 minutes completed.
No. Bash is not allowed here. Bin SHU. So it is a small container. So generally the small containers, no, they run at SH. Okay. Now here you do net stat STAT minus ln. See here. Active internet connection. See here. It is listening at port number 80. Again, why they are able to connect to each other? Because they have a common storage. Okay. You did not specifically mention a common storage. So I told you that if you don't specifically mention anything, it will go ahead and take that as the default one. Okay. So you can see here that this guy is listening at port number 80. And why is this listening at port number 80? Because here I have opened port number 80. Okay. Now, if I come here and try to run this command, curl local host, okay, port number 80. See here, welcome to Nginx. If you are seeing this page, the Nginx web server is successfully installed and working. Further configuration is required. When does this thing happen? When your Nginx container is successfully running. Now you can say, no, I don't believe it is running. Let's go and check the logs. So you can exit from here. Okay, clear all these things and come here and say kubectl. Okay, logs.
CTL is missed.
Okay.
Because how come Nginx don't have the netstat?
No, that by default it is not installed. So you have to install that software. You go inside
And then we can listen the ports, right? We can see.
You can go inside and listen. -C, and I'm looking at Nginx containers, TAINERS containers. See here. Okay, it says give me an error. kubectl logs. Sorry, my bad. I should have given the name of the pod. Okay, so I put like this. So now it should be correct. kubectl logs. kubectl logs live container -C.
Container, right? Containers.
Wait, let me see whether
Container.
container. Yes. So this is a mistake here. See here. So you can see that this is running. Okay. And here, if you see, this is the log. So if you go inside the log, okay, it is saying will attempt to perform the configuration. This is the Docker entry point. And this is the Nginx installed. Start the work processing. Start the work processing. So basically it will tell you that you did a curl here. So it is telling you, see, you did a curl. Okay. So something like that it is telling you. Okay. So basically what I am trying to show you here is that again go to the same statement, okay, where I'm saying that one pod, one container is the traditional way of working. But in case you want to skip that traditional way and you say that, no, I want to run 2 containers, definitely it is possible. But in that case, you will have to come up with those 3 categories, either a sidecar, even I don't remember those categories. Either you have to come with a sidecar container, ambassador container, or an adapter container. I started with sidecar container where I had the common storage between both of them. Then I started running 2 containers. which was Debian and Nginx. But Debian and Nginx, they were two different containers sharing the same storage. And hence, when I run this command, I can see index.html at this location also. But the problem here was that the Debian container was exited, or it had done its work and it came out. But now the requirement says that, no, I want my both the containers to run. In that case, you will have to come here and do something like this, and you have to add a small command here. So this will kind of hold for 300 seconds, and after 300 seconds, automatically it will be gone. Okay.
Sir, after execution, really this content, this images will be get downloaded?
After execution, while creating the container only, it will get downloaded.
Okay.
Okay. So here there is a question from Muneshwar. He says, show me the log option. So this is the log option, man. This is how you write the log command. kubectl log, then logs. So you write something like this, kubectl logs, then the name of your container, sorry, the name of your pod. Okay. Then -c for the container. Which container you want to see? Sidecar minus container. Okay. So I think the name is not correct. Sidecar hyphen container. Paste. Hello. So it is saying hello. That is all it is coming up. So in the sidecar container, I think it is dead now. Let me just come and check. kubectl get all. It is still alive, but it is not showing anything.
So can we see which this Nginx image is got downloaded? No, which version can we able to find?
Yes, see here. It is Nginx 1.2.31. In the log it is showing.
Any chances of like specifying which we need?
If you want a particular version, here in your YAML file only you change it. No?
Okay.
Here you change it. Whichever version you want, you put it here. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll take this document and I'll put it in my GitHub repo. So all the commands, whatever I have executed, you will get it from there. GitHub. So there should be something called pods. Container, daemon, EKS, Helm, Istio, service, stateful. Okay, let me create something called pods. Add file, create a new file. Pods. And I will say multi-container pod. Paste it. Okay, so I will still stick to the same point where I was saying that we should be using one pod, one container. If you go with a multi-container pod, your scenarios will become a little bit complex.
Is there any possible of asking by in enterprise level?
No, generally they don't ask all these things. There are many other things to be asked. Okay, let me take few questions here, like difference between cat and curl command. Now, cat is a display command. So let me say if you write cat. 1 second. So let me come here. So let me say you have a file, okay, nano file one.file.txt, and you have put any data here. This is a sample file. So if you simply say cat, it will display the content for you. Okay, but when you say curl, it will not display the same content because this is not a HTTP content. So curl will only work with a HTTP content. So if you have curl localhost is IP address, then it may work. Obviously, it is not mapped anywhere, so it will work in case it is mapped. So curl is mostly for HTTPS or HTTP kind of request, and cat is a simple display command. You can put it like this. Can you please show the log option? I just now showed you. Why does it always listen at port 80 instead of, see Peter, then again, you go by a particular software. There are some default features like Jenkins. It runs by default at 8080. Yes, definitely if you want, you can change it, but by default, it runs at port 8080. Similarly, Nginx also runs at port 80. Okay. Yes, in case you want, you can change the port number, but the moment you start using HTTPS, you will have to use SSL certificate and all. You have to buy a domain name and all. So that will add to your cost. But here we are trying to just get into the concepts rather than adding cost. If we use binsh to connect to the container, then what is the use of shared volume in the first YAML file? Okay, see here. So let me say these two containers. Okay. So this is actually the shared volume. So let me say there are three different languages. Okay, let me say this is English, this is German, and this is French. So think these three components as three different components. Okay, so this is container 1, container 2, and the shared volume. There should be something common in between them, which is going to connect all of them together. And in my example, this command which we are running now, sorry.
Sir, sidecar is the image.
Yes, sidecar is image.
For what?
Huh? Can you repeat your question?
Yes, for what we use this image?
See, if you see here, I told this is a web server. Okay. When you say a web server, Amazon is an example of that. Amazon is a web server, website. When people go there, there will be logs which will get generated. Some people will try to buy something, they will click on something. So that is nothing but the log, or that is nothing but the activity which is happening there. I want to capture that. So a sidecar container is like a log saving container, which will go ahead and save the details. So tomorrow, if this guy crashes, I will know why it crashed or at what point it crashed. So all the log details will be stored here.
Okay, so he is monitoring the traffic.
No, monitoring is different. It is not monitoring. It is just capturing the log details.
Capturing the data request.
Web request. When you go to Amazon.com, you click on something. That is a log which is generated.
So
that is captured.
We create for SQL database server or any operating system server.
See, monitoring is different. Log capturing is different. Okay. When I say log, it is simply capturing the details. It is not doing anything. When I say monitoring, it is capturing, it is sending alerts, it is creating 5 kind of metrics like CPU utilization, disk utilization, all those things are getting categorized and shown to you. But when I say logs, it is simply getting generated and getting stored. There is nothing else happening on top of that.
Can you please again describe? I can't understand what.
The monitoring concept will come later when I will teach you Prometheus Grafana. There I will teach you how monitoring works. As of now, just go by this simple thought that when I have a web server and somebody comes to my website, clicks on something, buys something, or do anything on my server, that log will be generated and that will be stored here.
It is for only HTTP, right? HTTP server, web server.
It can be for anything. HTTP, HTTPS, it can be for anything.
No, it is for web server, right? Not database server.
As of now, we are not dealing with database server. So for this example, it is not for database server.
No, we sidecar image can we use for database server?
Yes, you can use for anything.
Okay, okay. Because in here in Kubernetes, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, in Kubernetes, Docker role is finished because everything we are creating in Kubernetes container in
Okay, you
pod.
tell me, what did I say yesterday?
Yeah, but in pod, under the pod, we are creating the container.
That will always be there. You tell me what I told you yesterday.
If anything is left over in the Docker, then you tell me, we'll teach.
Exactly. That's what I want to tell you again. Okay. See you then, guys.
Because final
Yeah,
just
man.
one thing. This Docker file we created, right? Like we will use in this Kubernetes YAML file, like suppose
Docker file is a different thing. You leave the Docker things there. Just now come to this guy.
No, I want the customized image. Like I will create the customized image, and that I want that image to be applied in this Kubernetes.
Okay. So if you have a customized image, let me share it again. Suppose I have a customized image and I'm writing something like this: deployment in Kubernetes. So whenever you have a customized image, see, you created an image. At the end of the day, you are going to store it somewhere, GCP, AWS.
Yes. Okay.
When you create a deployment, rather than saying the image is this, you say your image.
Okay.
Then
Okay. After I need to upload that. See, after creating the file and then image, making it to image, and then upload or like pull to the portal like Docker Hub or any Google Hub, anything. And then after that, I need to take it down, right?
Yes.
The image will come if it is there in the Docker Hub and GCL, no, sir?
No, see, it can be anywhere. You just need to specify the path where it has to be picked up. What are we going to do tomorrow? We will be dealing with, there is something called PVC, means persistent volume claim. So this is what we'll be dealing with tomorrow. Service and all will come, and service deployment.
This image, again, I got a doubt, sir. We are not specifying any path, right?
But it is being pulled from the default location as of now, the GCR.
That's what. If it is not there in the default location, then
it will go to some Docker Hub. Okay, it has been terminated. But if you remember this guy, when I was running this guy, I showed you, right, that these are being picked from the GCR image. See here.
Yeah, that is shown, but I'm saying if anything customization, if you want, if the image is presented in the Docker Hub or in GCL only, it will come, right?
Yes. If it is somewhere else, then you have to mention the full path, or you will get an error that the image has not been found, or the image is not present.
Got it.
Okay, fine. See you then, guys. Bye-bye.
Hello, Vikas.
Yes.
Yes, I have one more question. If in CMD we are mentioned their cell bin bash.
Yes.
So if we launch Jenkins container and Nginx container, so Jenkins cell is different.
You just give it a try. Let me know what you found.
So if we mention bin bash, so both container.
Try to do it by yourself. When you find the error, come back to me. I will let you know. Okay.
Okay, Vikas. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you.